Hi guys, happy Wednesday. So a lot of you have been watching previously, but I'll just fill you in a little something. We are social distancing. We are company out of New York, Long Island. So we are all working from home. I'm coming to you from my house, the studio in my home. So welcome. And I hope everybody's doing their part to social distance and just stay as healthy as they possibly could be. We've been talking a lot about community. We've been talking a lot about stamping it forward. Okay, what are you doing in your community? Are you stamping for people who, let's say, are having a hard time? So, like I said, I usually log on in the morning, look to see who's in my community, whose birthdays there are, and I like to make them a little something. And on my evening walks that I take with my husband and my daughter, and my dog, I drop things in people's mailboxes. So one, it's a good way to meet your neighbors if you don't know who your neighbors are. And two, it keeps me grounded to the people who I live around that usually I see and could, give a hug. Right now, we have to stand 6 feet apart from one another. So it's very little social contact. When we're walking, in New York, we're all wearing masks. So we're waving and we're moving on. So that little bit of just surprise to let somebody know that you're thinking of them really goes a long way. So if you are doing that, definitely tag us in what you're making. And you could hashtag it, stamp it forward. We would love to see it and maybe even post it on our social media platforms. So today we're doing wall hangings. Wall hangings are going to be done with bracelet blanks. So you see the ones that are behind me. I'm just going to grab one. You're going to see right here that I made a moon. Did everybody see that? Okay. We're going to do a wall hanging. I'm going to show you how to utilize bracelet blanks because that's what these are. I am going to show you how to bend your bracelets. We are going to close it with artistic wire and we are going to make it really pretty. Okay. This is also on if you go on ImpressArt.com, and make sure if you go on ImpressArt.com, you fill out for our newsletter. There's also in the inspiration gallery, we have a step-by-step tutorial on how to make this specific one. We're going to make a little different one today, but we are going to do the moon. Okay. So you can use the GS Hypo on your tips here the way I did. But for magic purposes here in my studio, so I could do this for you, we're going to use artistic wire. So for those of you who don't have the GS Hypo at home, I'm going to show you how you could use a head pin. I'm going to use artistic wire, but you can use your head pins or your straight pins or any kind of wire that you have at home. All right, so it is very gloomy in New York today. Weather's not that great, but we're going to make a great project today. These are great. They're nice. They hang in windows really nicely. You could accent a wall on your home the way I had it. I'm going to take you guys over to my block and we're going to start this project. So first step, you could use 6-inch bracelets, but today, yes, another tutorial. Thank you for joining us. So today I'm going to use an abundance of what I had in the house. So I'm going to use our smaller petite bracelet blanks. You can use the 6-inch. I'm using the 5 today. Okay. And I'm going to do it in copper. So I'm just going to peel the plastic off. So I'm peeling that plastic. So you'll notice that in your packages, when you open them with the bracelet blanks, they have a blue film on them. This blue film is a protective coating, so when in transit, they don't rub together and scratch. The first one in your retail pack is always, the front is never covered, so you could see the sheen to it. So we are going to start. I'm going to introduce a couple of new tools today. So I'm going to start with my first bracelet. I'm gonna start and make sure that my block is in a diamond pattern in front of me. It gives me more room to work when I'm using bracelets. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a piece. This is a cut piece that I already cut. So it's going to be 3 inches. So let me make some room here because I piled my tools. Okay, so I'm gonna take my bracelet and I'm gonna measure 3 inches. Now, you could use a enamel marker to mark. What I like to do is I like to use, and if everyone has been watching me lately, I really like to utilize my dot stamp. So I'm gonna take it and just give it a little hit, and that's my dot, okay? Then I'm gonna take my cutters. So mine are white, but I believe they're black and orange on the website. So I'm gonna take them and just follow that dot, and I'm gonna give it, whoops. I'm watching the screen, not my scissors. So I'm gonna take it and just give it a cut, okay? And that's gonna cut it in half. And here we go. Now that edge is a little rough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my buffing block and I'm just gonna knock the sides down a little bit so I don't have any sharp edges and I don't cut myself, okay? Then I'm gonna place this on the side. I'm gonna take my other bracelet blank and peel it. Now this is gonna create the moon shape. Okay. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make 3 dots. So the 3 dots that I'm going to make are I like to do everything in millimeters. I guess it's just a jewelry thing. Okay, I'm going to come to my 3 and give it another dot, okay? And then I'm gonna come to the end, give it the same one. After that, I'm going to take my piece that I cut. I'm gonna line it up, okay? And I'm just going to give it another hit there. Another hit at the bottom. And I'm actually, you know what? I'm gonna give it a little bit of a curve. So I'm actually going to take my ruler at my 10, and I'm just gonna give it another hit. Okay, so then we're gonna take the hole punch plier, okay? And we're gonna use utilize a little hole on that side, and then we're gonna go to the larger, okay? So the 1/16 is what I'm using now. And I'm gonna take it. And I like using that period stamp because it leaves a nice divot so I know where my hole has to go. So yes, this hole punch is one of my favorites. It leaves really nice and clean holes. No extra metal at the bottom. Now you could use the GS Hypo and let it dry, but today for live purposes, we're gonna use some artistic wire. Okay, I have some brass 18 gauge wire. So that's what we're going to be using. You could also use a flat head pin, any wire that you have maybe laying around your bench block from another project. We're all about utilizing what we have at home, so we know that the craft stores aren't available to go to right now. I'm going to finish up my 2 holes. This is the most tedious part of the project, I promise. So you could utilize a marker. I happen to really like using my period, my dot stamp. Okay, it leaves a really nice impression. And when I go to screw my hole down, it kind of catches in there. So now we have the inner part of our half moon and the outer part. Let me grab the sample so I could show you guys. So for those who just started, we're going to be making a wall hanging, and I'm going to show how you could do that using bracelet blanks. Okay, so you're going to take your bracelet bending plier. That's the next step. And you're going to take it just like that and squeeze. And you could see, I'm going to flip this up a little bit, that it's starting to curve. Okay, and this is exactly what you want it to do. Okay, so you want it just like that. Okay, this is going to be your outer part. Okay, now your inner, you're going to start right at the end. Now you could texture these. If I textured them live, we would be here forever. And I know you guys are okay with that, but I'm already long-winded enough. So you could definitely, after you make your holes, or you could do it after, before you make your holes, you might want to texture, like I did this one. I'm going to show you how to texture the outskirts of it, but you might want to add some texture. You want to maybe add some words, some personalization. These are really pretty. So what you're going to do next is, let me tilt this down so you could see, but you could see how it's starting to actually fit right inside there. Okay, just like that. Now you could take a head pin, or you could take some of your artistic wire, completely up to you. Today, on the sample, I used GS Hypo, and I let it sit overnight, but I know we don't have time for that today, so I'm going to use my 18 gauge artistic wire, and that's available on ImpressArt, and I'm going to use my flush cutters. I'm just going to, I was playing around earlier today, so I'll cut that off. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use about 2 inches, give it a little cut with my flush cutters. And I'm going to take my round nose pliers, and I'm just going to take it in the center. And I'm going to make a U with my wire, okay? And I'm going to come in, bend it just a little bit, okay? And I'm going to line up the bottom half of my my moon, my crescent moon. Okay, so you're going to see that, if you like more of a finished look, I would use the glue. If you don't mind it at all, I would use the wire. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the wire to the side where I'm going to have up against the wall. Okay, so I'm going to take that, and I am a metal stamper. I am not a wire wrapper. So I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and give it a little squeeze. Then I'm going to take my wire and just really give it a couple of twists, okay? Again, I'm going to squeeze it. Then I'm going to take my cutters, cut off my excess. Again, my sample was done with GS Hypo. Feel free to use GS Hypo. give it a little tug. Okay. Then I'm going to cut another piece. Same thing as I did. Use my round nose, make a U. I'm going to come back up. And I'm going to push that right through. Okay. And bring that down. So you're seeing it's starting to take shape. Okay. So I'm going to push it down, bring that over. Give that a little squeeze to tighten it up around my bracelet. Now you could even choose to hang a bead off the end if you'd like. I'm going to keep it simple. Just twist it and cut it. Okay. So here I have my moon shape. Okay. You could also, when it comes to texturing, you can use the ball peen head in the multifunction hammer. Pop that right in, tighten the end, and you could just give your edges, so you want to hang the metal off there, give your edges some texture. Okay. So here is your crescent, and you could see texturing with that ball peen hammer with the edges looks really nice. Okay, just like that. So now what I'm going to do with my wire, I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to make a loop for the top and a loop for the bottom. The top is where you're going to hang it from, and the bottom is where you're going to continue to put your blanks. Okay, so I'm going to cut another, I like to say 2 inches of my wire, and I'm going to utilize my chasing head. Okay, and what I'm going to do with my chasing head is I'm just going to flatten the end. Okay, then I'm going to take my round nose pliers, and I'm just going to make a nice and small loop, just like that. Okay, I'm going to bring my head pin that I've made right through, so you can see that loop. You could definitely dangle a bead from there. I'm going to take my finger and just hold it right underneath, and then I'm going to bend my wire, give it a nice loop, okay? Bring it back. I'm just going to wrap my wire. Oh God, my sloppy wire work. It's very hard to work when you have a camera set up like this. So I'm going to do my best. My horrible wire wrapping. My friend Wyatt from over at Beetlelon would not be happy. So here is your top loop. Okay. Now you could definitely hang a bead from the center. Okay, and now we're going to do the top. One more. We're going to do another 2 inches. Give that a cut. Take my chasing head, give it a couple of hits. take my wire, make a loop, bring it back, just like that. And you could dangle a bead from here as well. So I'm going to put it right through that hole. Okay, put my thumb underneath it and hold it in place. I'm going to make another loop. I'm going to curl my wire around. So I'm using 18 gauge artistic wire. Give it a little hit, little clip, and I'm going to just tighten it with my pliers. Okay, so we have both of our hanging points, which is great. Okay, then we're going to come back in, and I've already made the holes for it, but you're going to place 2 holes at each end and 2 in the center. And what you could do with this is you could texture it. You could use the chasing head on the edges. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my chasing head on the edges of these, and I'm going to hit it and pull it back. And this is going to leave really nice texture on the edges of these. And then I'm going to come in the center. I'm going to take my head out, and I'm going to, actually, you know what? I'm going to place my sprinkle stamp in there. Okay. That is not my sprinkle stamp. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to do hearts. So with this hammer, you could put in any of our 6mm design stamps. I'm going to work with a 6mm heart. So you want to put your design stamp in, tighten it at the bottom, and I'm going to texture with it. Don't be scared to overlap texture. So I use the chasing head, and I'm just going over with some hearts. It just gives that little bit more. There we go. Then I'm going to take my jump ring, okay, and I'm going to use 2 of my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to twist it open. You never want to pull your jump rings apart because you compromise the metal, so you just want to twist them apart, okay, just like that. You're going to put one right at the top, okay, and then you're going to place your moon. And you're going to close it. Okay? And that's going to be part of your hanging. Then you're going to do the same thing for your jump ring on the bottom, right through. We're going to close this for now. We're not going to put anything on it. I just want to make sure that I have all my jump rings in place for when we finish our other pieces. Now, this is definitely something that you can make with anything you have laying around, okay? So you can see that. And again, how I did mine was I used the GS Hypo, and I glued my ends together overnight. For Facebook Live purposes, I used some artistic wire on each end, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I want to hang 3 words from my wall hanging. So we're going to go over how to stamp straight and line up your words. I'm going to use an oldie but a goodie. I am going to use uppercase Juniper. Okay, I want to use that heart in there and that star in this design. So I'm going to utilize some of my design stamps. I am going to use my sticker guides. And then I'm going to show you how you could buff out some of those scratches. If you have, I have a lot of my blanks just laying in little bins. And they're all separated. So sometimes when I pull them in and out a lot, I get a little bit of wear and tear on them. So I'm going to show you how you can buff that out. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that the bottom of my metal is lined up with that blue line that runs across my sticker. And I am going to stamp, let's see, some inspirational words. What should we do? Should we do, how about create, love, and inspire? So this is going to be hanging from my first jump ring right here. So I think I'm going to stamp it, let's see, vertically. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to utilize my black lines. So I'm going to put down, let's see, I'm going to utilize my orange lines, okay? So I'm going to do inspire. So I-N-S-P-I-R-E. I'm going to move that sticker a little bit. That's what I love these. Move it a little up. Okay. So usually when we're stamping, we move the stamp down to the sticker. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to slide it to my left. Okay, and when I feel that my stamp hits that ledge, then I'm going to stamp. So let's start with my eye. Again, my ImpressArt is always facing me when I'm stamping. I'm going to place it flat, lightly drag that over, give it a nice hit. There is my eye. My N. So I'm just literally lining up my stamp with what I wrote on my sticker. Flat, drag that over, feel that restriction. My eye. R. And my E. So when I take my sticker away, you're going to see that it gave it a curve, okay? Now, I favored the left side of my blank to show you how you could correct that. So sometimes it gets a little wonky and it starts to curve. This is where you would take your nylon head, okay, in that multifunction hammer, tighten your screw at the bottom, and you're going to take your blank and you're going to place it on your block just like that. So if you could see that I'm favoring, it's rainbowing is how it looks like a rainbow. So I'm going to place it on my block. If you could see that the light is coming in from the other side of that block, do you see that space? I'm going to take my nylon head and I'm going to give it a couple of hits. Then I'm going to turn it around the other way and give it a couple of hits. So what that's going to do is that now has my blank straight up and down again and no curves in it, no wonkiness, okay? Then I'm going to take my period stamp. I'm going to mark where I want my hole. Then I'm going to come back in and punch my hole. Any questions so far? Okay. Sometimes when you have a little bit of cupping on the bottom of that disc, it's okay. Use your sticker, put it down on top so there's no marring. Take your nylon head and just give it a couple of hits, okay? We have scratch protection sheets, which are fantastic to use when it comes to marring, all right? So then I'm going to take my enamel marker and I'm going to color that in. Lightly dab it. And then lightly wipe. There's nothing on my paper towel. There's no alcohol, no antibacterial. It's not wet. It's a dry paper towel. You just want to make sure to blot first, lightly wipe. If your enamel's not staying in your impression, it's because one, you're wiping too fast, or two, your impressions aren't deep enough, so they stay. So I'm going to bring my crescent moon back over. I'm going to open up my jump ring, twist it. I'm going to place my blank on it. Actually I made the mistake of not using the bigger hole. I apologize. So I'm going to come right back in, line it up, pierce it through one more time. Put that right through. Then I'm going to close my jump ring. So this is going to be my first inspirational word that's going to hang from that. And now I'm going to do the center. The center, I'm going to do it a little bit different. I am going to leave the two end words vertically. I'm going to stamp this one with love, and I'm going to do it horizontally with this. So I'm going to grab another sticker guide. I'm going to place that right. Make sure that my blue line is hitting the edge of my metal. Just like that. And I'm going to do love, okay? But with my O, instead of using my O, I'm going to use a heart. So let me write on my sticker. And I'm going to move it down a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to take my L, Place it down, lightly drag it, give it a hit. Take my O, my V, my E, pull my sticker up. I'm going to see that there's that wonkiness in it again. I'm going to take my nylon head, give it a couple of hits. I'm going to take my period dot stamp and I'm just going to mark where I want to put my hole. I'm going to punch using the larger size of that. You're going to take your enamel marker, run it over your impressions. You're going to dab the paint and then lightly wipe. Okay, now what I was talking about before is that if you have your blanks, and you could always go over if you want it a darker color, if you want it deeper. If you have your blanks together in a, like that, the old-fashioned bead boxes, and there's a little bit of wear and tear, a couple of surface scratches on your blanks, you could definitely take the medium grit to it. And what you want to do is you just want to run it over. Okay. And then you're going to take your white buffing block, okay, which looks like this, but, probably cleaner than what mine looks like. And you're just going to run it over. And this is going to give it a nice shine. I'm only going to do half of it so you could see the difference. Do you see that? Compared to that side. So definitely by using the medium grit on that sanding block really does wonders and takes all those imperfections out of that metal. All right. Then I'm going to take my pliers, open up my jump ring, put my word on there, and close it. Okay, so far I have my inspire, my love, and I think I'm gonna put create. Okay, so I'm gonna use my last one. So with this one, with the inspire, we utilize the left half of the blank. I'm going to favor the right side of this. Okay, so I'm going to take my sticker guide, and you could use your bracelet sticker guides. You could use your stamp guide book. It's really up to you. It's what you have handy. And instead of putting my sticker on my left side, I'm going to put it on my right. Okay. And I am going to utilize my orange. Let's see. My C, my R, my E, my A, my T, my E. Okay, so what I did with the first one that I stamped, like I said, I favored the left side. So the sticker was on my left side of my blank. This one I want to favor my right side. So it's going to be on the right side of my blank. So I'm going to take my letters, place it flat, and let me see, move that up a little bit so I know if you're reading comments, you could see it better. So I'm placing it flat. I'm lightly going to drag it down and line up my C stamp, that shank, with the C that's on my sticker guide. I'm going to give it a tap. Now I'm working, this is alchemy. So alchemy is definitely soft. So you don't want to give it that much of a hard hit. I would say I would do light to a medium hit. You always want to make sure that you are stamping with a brass hammer. And you always want to make sure that you are using a seal block. No stamping on glass tables. You'd be surprised what Jen and I learn. So you are going to then, you're going to see that it got all wonky because I favored the side of the metal. And because it's soft, you're forging it, so it is moving and flexing. So you're going to take your nylon head and you're going to give it a couple of hits, and you're going to see that you are now on the right side of the blank, and your blank is nice and straight and clean. It doesn't have any, what about on Patty? Okay, granite. Granite, I know, that's a big misconception. So granite is a great surface for leather stamping. What happens when you're stamping on granite with metal is that your piece that you're working on starts to cup. So let's say you are stamping into, okay, let me see. So granite, you think granite's hard. When it comes to your hammer and your steel stamp, it is not. So I'm just going to take a ball peen head for now. And because it's the only thing I could use to give you that kind. And I'm going to work on wood. But I'm just going to show you what happens. Now, do you see when I hit it, it starts to cup up? Does everybody see that? When you stamp on granite, when you stamp on wood, when you stamp on marble, it starts to cup. Do you see that right there? Okay. It starts to bring that metal up. So you're forging into metal. Your block isn't hard, your surface isn't hard enough. With the steel, it doesn't do that. With the steel, it just stays and doesn't cup. Okay? So you should always use a steel block and a brass hammer. Do you like how I just gave it a blast hammer? Okay, so we're going to go back to marking our hole. I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to enamel my impressions. I'm going to dab it, lightly wipe. Okay, I'm going to take my last jump ring. Going to twist it. Remember, you always want to twist up, and I didn't punch my hole. I'm gonna put that right on that jump ring. I'm gonna close it right there. And this is going to be our project. Okay. So you could hang, I have a piece of sari silk on the one that I did earlier. Right here. Okay. With this one, I used the GS Hypo and I glued my ends together. Okay. And I did that overnight. I used butterfly clips on the edges of both of my bracelet blanks, left them overnight, and then continued with my project the next day. But since we were doing it on the live, I used some artistic wire and I just wrapped my ends, okay? And instead of hanging just a couple of jump rings, I chose to do some words. So inspire, love, and create. And this, I think, is super sweet. And it's a nice project if you want to drop it in the mail and send it to someone. So again, I want to thank everyone for watching today. Don't forget that if you are stamping, put you back in there. If you are stamping at home and you are giving your pieces to people to feel more connected to community, whether you're stamping a project and leaving it in a neighbor's mailbox, or you're stamping something and popping it into an envelope and mailing it out to someone who really you think could use a pick-me-up, please take a picture and let us know. You could hashtag us at Stamp It Forward. But show us how you're brightening up someone's day. It's all about community. Everybody's social distancing. Everyone's trying to stay healthy. And we just thought that this little campaign would be a great way to show, how you're still connected even though we can't see that person and physically touch that person every day. Please feel free to sign up for our newsletter. That's going to let you know on little deals that we have, sales that we have, new products that we're coming out with, a bunch of information. So you'll also get an email alerting you to Facebook Lives. Thank you very much, and we will see you on Friday.